Popping Collars Podcast presents T-Shirts and You, Partners in Freedom.
Hi, I'm Ricardo Avila. You may remember me from such podcasts as Popping Collars and Popping Collars.
Hi, Ricardo.
Oh, hi, Liz.
It's Betsy. I want to show everyone how much I love Popping Collars by wearing your logo on a personal item of clothing. I'm curious, how do Popping Collars t-shirts get from your website to my door?
Whoa. Slow down, Betsy. You've just asked a mouthful. Well, it all starts here at poppingcollarspodcast.com. We let the folks at Redbubble cook up some amazing concoctions with our podcast logo, including stickers, hats, coffee mugs, and yes, even t-shirts. And when the teas are just right, they get spit out from the internet into the real world.
Ricardo, I have a friend who says there are no more t-shirts. Is he right?
No, Betsy. Your incredibly wrong friend is just ignorant and has never heard of new merchandise. We have t-shirts perpetually being made in multiple colors and multiple styles or multiple fashion tastes.
Shouldn't I just buy a book instead?
Don't kid yourself, Betsy. If books ever got the chance, they'd take money off you and everyone you care about, and you would never get a t-shirt.
Wow, thanks, Ricardo. I'll definitely get a t-shirt instead.
Good choice, Betsy. Good choice.
Get your t-shirt at poppingcollarspodcast.com. Just click the link at the top of the page that says Popping Collars merch and more and follow the prompts. You'll soon be the envy of all your friends. Pop, pop.
The preceding ad is a work of fiction directly stolen from the television show The Simpsons. Popping Collars t-shirts will not make you the envy of all your friends. Books are not out to get you or your family. Greg adds these things because he thinks it's funny and doesn't consider the impact these statements have on people's livelihoods. Popping Collars is a silly little podcast that you should not take seriously, except when you should. Hi, I'm Greg.
And I'm Betsy.
And this is Going on 30, a Popping Collars side project where deserves got nothing to do with it.
Oh, hold on. What'd you say? I'm sorry, I had a hard time understanding you. What's that?
Deserves got nothing.
Deserves. Everybody's a poet.
I can't do it.
Everybody's a poet.
You gotta clench your jaw. Like, you can't open your mouth. You gotta kind of jut your jaw out, but then you still have to speak gravelly. It's hard to do a Clint. Hard for me to do a Clint.
I mean, it's because the dentistry was so poor back then.
Deserves got nothing to do with it when it comes to movies that were nominated or should have been nominated for Best Picture 30 years ago. This month, we're looking at the winner of the Oscar for Best Picture in 1993. Unforgiven. They dubbed me Unforgiven.
That's what was playing in my head the whole time I'm watching this. The whole time.
Label
me. Because it's just as growly. It's just as growly as the whole rest of the movie. When did that song came out? Late 80s, right? Is that late 80s?
Yeah. Was that on the Black Album? Unforgiven?
Like Enter Sandman? I don't know. I feel like whenever I'm just not sure, I'm just going to start mumbling on this episode.
When it comes to Metallica, though, don't sleep on. They played a concert with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra or something like that one time. And
oh yeah,
that album kicks ass. I love that album.
Yeah.
A whipping? That's all they get after what they've done? Get out of there!
It was a matter of honor.
They're paying $1,000 to whatever kills the two boys that cut up Delilah.
In a time when lawmen were killers.
What are y'all looking at?
You English, Bob?
Outlaws were heroes.
Well, I thought that you were dead.
Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just in Nebraska.
And a bad reputation.
You're the one who killed William Harvey and robbed that train over Missouri?
Was as good as gold.
My guess is you're calling yourself Mr. William Money.
Say what?
You don't look no meaner than hell, cold-blooded damn killer.
I ain't like that anymore, kid.
$1,000 reward, Will.
Nobody's gonna come.
So you still have that Spencer rifle, huh?
Yeah. He's my partner. He don't go, I don't go.
What's it come to 3 ways?
Just because we're going on this killing, that don't mean I'm gonna go back to being the way I was.
Are you really gonna kill them cowboys?
I do not like assassins or men of low character.
We ain't bad men no more. We're farmers.
You're a lot of savages! A bunch of bloody savages! Assassin!
Oh, I guess they have it coming.
We all have it coming, kid.
Some legends will never be forgotten. Some wrongs can never be forgiven.
Any man don't want to get killed. Better clear on out the back.
Unforgiven.
Okay, Betsy, I have a brief description of this movie. Would you like to hear it?
Would love to hear it.
William Money is a retired, once ruthless killer turned gentle widower and hog farmer. Heck yeah, he's
Not a very good hog farmer.
Not a great hog farmer.
The hogs keep getting the fever, Greg. They've got the fever for the flavor of a Pringle.
What do you think fevered bacon would taste like? That's great.
Well, you might enjoy it. It might be the last thing you eat. Fevered bacon. Ugh.
To help support his 2 motherless children, he accepts one last bounty hunter mission to find the men who brutalized a prostitute. Joined by his former partner and a cocky greenhorn.
The last time I used the term greenhorn.
He takes on a corrupt sheriff. I think corrupt is a little bit harsh for Gene Hackman here. But Betsy, what is your history with the movie Unforgiven?
I did not see this in the theater, I don't think. I think I was I don't remember when I saw this movie. I know I've seen it at least once.
Yeah.
Because you had to have watched The Winner.
Right, yeah.
But I have not traditionally been drawn to Clint Eastwood movies.
Oh.
Or to Western.
Oh, wow. So, Man with No Name, Hang 'em High, Pale Rider, not your jam.
No, but then once, as everyone who listens to this podcast knows, I get drawn, I go to college and I hang out with the radio, television, and film majors.
Yeah.
Then you learn about spaghetti Western, blah, 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 genre.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I learned about Clint Eastwood that way.
Yeah. So I came to Unforgiven late, obviously. I did not see this in 1992, but not long after 1992. I would say that, this was one of those catch-up movies. Probably, you know what? I probably caught up with...
Because Westerns are good for children. These are good for children, American children. You can watch this at any age.
I will say that I watched a lot of Westerns. There were a lot of Westerns coming out around this time. And I remember going to the theater to see Tombstone, and I remember going to the theater to see Wyatt Earp. I don't know, does The Postman count as a Western? It's not really, I guess. It's more of a dystopia.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I was watching a lot of the 90s Westerns that were coming out, as a teenager. But this one I probably caught up with at the video store. Probably once I started working at the video store, I came across it.
Well, and this one's a little bit grittier. I mean, Tombstone's a little more polished. This definitely is no Young Guns.
Oh yeah, Young Guns. Young Guns 2 would have been
this is a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is a little bit, in the genre. It's an extension of other films.
I think this is trying to do something else. But we'll talk about that. What are your general thoughts on the movie? What are your initial takes?
I didn't really fully get, aside from the fever comments, that they were really in dire straits with their pig situation. I mean, maybe I was supposed to infer,
right,
as he viciously shot at a coffee can,
right,
that things were not great. But I didn't quite get that we were in a real pickle that we needed to go pull this one more job. I enjoyed the complexity of the relationship that Clint Eastwood had with his wife, who's deceased, this character who we never meet.
Right.
Yet we get a full sense of their relationship.
Yeah.
And who he was before Claudia.
Claudia.
Yeah. Right. And how he was fueled by alcohol and really had to drink to do what he did. And he drinks and needs a better shot and all of that sort of stuff. But where I really ended up kind of getting wrapped up in it was in kind of what Clint Eastwood has become and looking at Hackman's character.
Yeah.
And this strong moralism, and that life has these rules and that you are judged by those rules. You know, women who participate in sex work are judged by those rules. Men who injure women and children are judged by those rules. People who don't surrender their weapons are judged by those rules.
Right.
And the world has those rules and limits. And if you don't participate in those morals, then you are bad, or you're not patriotic, or you're not whatever. So now you look at the films that Clint Eastwood has participated in as a director since this, there's this high, very high moral ground that he plants his flag in all the time now.
He eventually gets there, right? Like, I would say, I mean, he's still pumping out, like, I mean, up until $1 Million Baby, like, he's still doing, I don't know, I would say really good sort of directing work. I mean, he's one take Clint. So, I mean, it's going to be, move it along. Maybe you don't get the best, acting in whatever moment, but I don't know. Like, he's got some quality stuff. And then I think it's Gran Torino where it makes the turn, right? Like, that's where he's like really sort of, he's pushing some kind of weird thing. But I don't know. The Mule is pretty good, I thought. Like, that's
but if I'm looking at like American Sniper and 1517 to Paris and and I'm looking at these, and I think maybe some of that is us talking about his politics and talking about where some of that has kind of gone. I think also knowing that in his personal life, he was not always the most above board, moralistic character either.
Yeah.
I can recommend You Must Remember This and some of his relationships with women and those sorts of things. Not so hot.
Yeah.
He seems very much to want to wrestle and likes to wrestle with the moral quandary. And that is the story of some of his work. And so I find the presence of the Hackman character particularly interesting. And then you making the comment that he's not necessarily corrupt.
Right.
But what is he then?
That's probably my hottest take coming out of this. Is having watched it again this time and really paid closer attention, I think, to the Hackman character, Little Bill. I came away after this viewing thinking he's not wrong, actually. Like, he's not in the wrong. So
what are his goals? Like, he's trying to shut down
a
bunch of assassins. But they're not even really coming. I mean, I guess these cowboys are hanging out near his town.
Right.
They're not really in his town.
Right.
But he's just trying to shut down a bunch of people with guns.
He does not want the English Bobs of the world and stuff like that
show up.
Yeah.
For this quote unquote Boar's Gold.
Right.
Hello, Bob. Boys, this here's English Bob. Been a long time, Bob. Did you run out of Chinamen?
Little Bill. But I thought you was but I thought that you were dead. I see you shaved your chin whiskers off.
I was tasting the soup 2 hours after Ed.
Well, actually, what I heard was that you fell off your horse, drunk, of course, and that you broke your bloody neck.
I heard that one myself, Bob. Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just that I was in Nebraska. Who's your friend?
W.W. Beauchamp. This is Little Bill Daggett. And friends, of course.
Daggett. From Newton? Hayes? From Abilene?
In person?
Well, I guess that means you boys can read. So I guess that means that you saw the signs outside of town there saying, surrender your firearms. But like you told young Andy here, you're not armed, are you, Bob?
Well, not really, Bill. Got a peacemaker, but that wouldn't worry you, would it? I mean, if you don't see it, or most particularly if you don't hear it.
I'm afraid so, Bob. You don't like firearms around.
Now, was he taking people's weapons before this?
So that's a good question, right? Because the cowboys had guns in the first scene. So like the cowboys had a knife, had a gun, right?
Yeah.
So at no point were they sort of stopped and frisked or what? That's right. But at no point were they ever stopped the way that everybody else who shows up in town was stopped, right? But also, everybody else that showed up in town was a stranger. And so they sort of pinged the radar a little bit in a way that maybe these cowboys didn't, since they had a ranch that was close by. So yeah, it's a good question of whether or not that was a new ordinance or not. The sign looked kind of new when you were coming to town. So,
right.
Yeah, in my opinion, looking at it now, like that opening scene, Hackman's willing to punish these guys for what they've done. It's not until the bartender, the billiards owner, right? It's when
quote unquote,
right, quote unquote, the billiards owner who doesn't own a billiards table. It's not until he raises the concern that his property has been damaged that then it becomes a property exchange, right? But even then, like if you're looking at it from Hackman's point of view, okay, fine, then make it a property exchange ponies for this person's property. Okay, fine, bing bang boom, and we're out. It's Francis Fisher, it's Strawberry Annie that wants vengeance, and he can't
justice tolerate. She would say,
and he can't tolerate vengeful characters showing up in his town. Like that's just going to create like, I don't know, like another Deadwood or something like that. He doesn't want anything like that,
Well, and I think he probably sees it as, these emotions of people getting the best of them, of women or whatever, that it's like, doesn't make sense. He's about logic and rules and consequences. And
yeah, I mean, listen, if he were a bad person, he would do violence against these women. He never, at any point, turned, like he sort of, verbally assaults them by saying like, what are you doing? Stop doing this. Stop bringing this element into our town. But he never punishes them. He never arrests them. He never does anything to. They're perfectly free to go about their business. So he doesn't strike me as a bad person. He's just a law and order person, I came away from this viewing much more sympathetic for where Little Bill was coming from versus probably the first time I watched it, where I thought, oh, this is a bad guy. And he's a bad guy because he's doing bad things to the protagonist of the film. But the protagonist of the film is actually a really bad guy.
And I think that's a lot of what's because I think it's a lot of what this is supposed to have you wonder and suspect.
Yeah.
Who is actually bad.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And when you watch films where people get killed all the time, you've got the Schofield kid who is, I've killed 5 people and blah, blah, blah. Right. And, he shoots one guy And he's like, that was the first guy I ever killed. I'm never doing it again. And that feels awful. And I'm just never going to do that again. And when you never see a character in so many of the movies that we've watched ever have that kind of reaction.
Right.
Taking the
Yeah,
life
no,
of somebody.
nobody in
No
Reservoir
one in Terminator 2 was thinking, oh no, I will never do that again.
Michael Madsen wasn't thinking, I will never cut off another ear again.
No, I am done now.
I have one other hot take about this movie. And this is maybe as hot a take as Gene Hackman had a point. I don't think this is a story about an actual person. Okay, so here's the thing. I understand the way that this movie is constructed. William Money is a man who lives in the middle of nowhere in Kansas and all of that. So I get it that that's what the movie is about. But I think this story is really about the angel of death, not a person. And I think William Money is this death bringer. And it's about this idea of what happens when death has a crisis of faith, right? What happens when the angel of death, who kills women and children and unarmed people and armed people and has no hesitancy over who it is that death takes. What does it mean when they have this sort of crisis of faith and they can't do their work anymore, but then they're reminded of what their work actually is and they go back to work again? That's kind of
when they go into like remission or something for a period of time.
I mean,
he stepped out of the cycle.
Well, what if you weren't the angel of death, right? Like, what if you were something else? What if you weren't this entity that takes life, but what if you were something that gave life instead? And I mean, it's starting to sound like I'm describing Meet Joe Black here, but like, I really do think that it has like these echoes of something a little more supernatural than what we're actually watching.
Because there is something kind of sad about that element in this film.
Death can, death can't do anything other than bring death. And that's the thing. It's like, there's that exchange when the Schofield kid says, I'm never going to do that again. And then there's like, that's not where he does the deserve it line, but that's where at some point, William Money looks at him and says, we all have it coming.
That was the first one.
First one what?
First one I ever killed.
Yeah?
You know how I said I shot 5 men? It weren't true. That Mexican who come at me with a knife, I just busted his leg with a shovel. I didn't kill him enough to need it.
Well, you sure killed the hell out of that fella today.
Hell yeah. I killed the hell out of him, didn't I?
Take a drink, kid.
Jesus Christ.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
Yeah. Well, I guess they had it coming.
We all have it coming, kid.
And that's kind of like where the switch is turned in his brain. Once Ned has been killed and he's sort of heard the news of Ned's death, like something switches in him and he goes back to work. Oh, I do have one more note. This was the Oscars. So, okay, spoilers for a later category, sorry. But this was the Oscars that Hackman won Best Supporting Actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was at this Oscars that they played, I think the clip that they played of Hackman at the Oscars when they announced his nomination was him beating up English Bob, Richard Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And Hackman was so upset by what they showed on the screen that he swore off ever doing violent scenes in movies again.
Ooh.
He was just so upset by it. I wonder if this movie led to his retirement. You know, there not many actors retire from the business. That's not really something that happens. As a matter of fact, I could only think of Betsy.
Oh no! Here we
I can only think of about 5 actors.
Let me guess. It's actually probably 6. It's probably 6.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why we always try to pretend it's 5.
Oh, I have an honorable mention. You're right.
Oh, look at that. All right, so Greg. So what is the category? The category is
top 5 retired actors.
Top 5 retired actors. All right. So who's your honorable mention?
Honorable mention because he's not retired yet, but he has announced that he's going to be retired soon, is Bryan Cranston.
What?
Bonus fun fact, I will tell you what he went out on. Bryan Cranston's last performance was in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So if Bryan Cranston retires, that's going to be what he goes out on.
I thought he was doing this show where he's a judge or something.
He's announced that he's retiring in 2026. It's still like a ways away, but he's announced that he's retiring. So we'll see if it stays. Yeah, that's why he's an honorable mention. He's not permanent yet.
Okay, all right. So number 5.
So number 5, retired actor Cameron Diaz, who retired on the movie Annie. She went out on Annie. That was her last movie.
Your last movie. Yeah.
I like that Annie remake, by the way. That was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Jamie Foxx,
it was pretty good. So then number 4.
Number 4 was when Doris Day retired. She went out on her own TV show, The Doris Day Show. That was her last thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 3.
Number 3, pretty famous retirement here. Sean Connery retired from acting. He went out on The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Tough movie to go out on. Poor Sean Connery.
Yeah. Poor Sean Connery. Oh, that is just tough. That's tough.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Number 2.
Number 2, recent retiree, Robert Redford, who went out on Avengers Endgame. That was the last thing that he showed up in, was a cameo appearance in Avengers Endgame.
I remember when we were watching Sneakers.
Yeah.
And that's what Ruby recognized him from. And I was like, dear God.
Not Butch Cassidy.
Nope. Not the natural. Not the way we were.
At least she didn't recognize him from Indecent Proposal. You know, she had said, like, wait, is that the guy from Indecent Proposal?
Not from the meme from, what is it, Gentle Ben? What's the meme where he turns around and does the wink or whatever? Music. What is that? What's that movie where he's the guy that lives out in the woods? It could have been from there.
I do not remember. Oh, that's so funny.
Now it's going to bother me. I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, so that's number 2. Okay, so number 1.
So number 1, retired actor. It's everybody's favorite, Daniel Day-Lewis. He is retired from acting. He went out on Phantom Thread. That's actually not a bad one to go out on. That's a pretty good movie.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Do you think he'll stay out?
I mean, he's making shoes or something, right? Like, I think he's done. I think he's a cobbler now. That's what he does.
I mean, that's what he does.
For Daniel Day-Lewis, what is it like to have a 19th century soul but live in the 21st century? It just must feel so weird for him to live life. I don't even know.
The movie I was trying to think of is 1972's Jeremiah Johnson.
Of course, Jeremiah Johnson.
Yes.
Gentle Ben.
Yes. Yes, a great meme of Robert Redford turning and giving you a little wink.
Nice. I love it. Betsy, what is the best scene from Unforgiven?
I like anything with Richard Harris in it. He's my favorite. I like him in the barbershop, to the outside on the street, not with the beating up part.
That's interesting. I like anything with Saul Rubinek in it. So
Oh, there we go. Yeah, the writer aspect is interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of
But
throwing in this.
there's like a legend. I mean, we'll
Right.
get into this a little bit, but like, there's facts and then there's legend. And I think it's Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
print the legend. Yeah.
And cursing, he reached for his pistols and would have killed him, but the duck was faster, and how the lad blazed from his smoking 6 guns.
See, I consider that to be an accurate depiction of the events, albeit, all right, there is a certain poetry to the language which I couldn't resist.
Mr. Beauchamp, I was in the Blue Bottle Saloon
In Wichita the night that English Bob killed Corky Corcoran. I didn't see you there. There's no woman, no 2-gun shooters, there's none of this.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
First off, Corky never carried 2 guns. Though he should have.
No, he was called 2-gun Corcoran.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks did call him 2-gun. But that wasn't because he was sporting 2 pistols. You see, the night that Corky walked into the Blue Bottle, and before he knows what's happening, Bob here takes a shot at him. And he misses because he's so damn drunk. Now, that bullet whizzing by panicked old Corky. And he did the wrong thing. He went for his gun in such a hurry, he shot his own damn toe off. Meantime, Bob here, he's aiming real good, and he squeezes off another. But he misses, because he's still so damn drunk, and he hits this $1,000 mirror up over the bar. But now, the duck of death is as good as dead. Because Corky does it right. He aims real careful. No hurry. And BAM! The Walker Colt blew up in his hand, which was a failing common to that model.
Right. Well, because they're automatically, like right off the bat, we've got the facts are distorted.
Right.
They gouged out her eyes and they, and it's like, no, they didn't, so like you're already dealing with. So then is it true about what, if we're already dealing with what the duck did and didn't do, and that seems to be distorted, then am I supposed to believe, or everyone actually believes what William did? Is what William did, or is that true? Is it not true? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So mine is the Schofield kid and William Money waiting for the money to come, and sort of we all have it coming scene. I just think it's really good. Like, and just like we were talking about with this idea of what's true and what's not. Finally the Schofield kid has actually killed someone, and he realizes that it's not this heroic, amazing image. He shot someone who was on the toilet. It's pathetic. Everything about it is pathetic, and there's nothing legendary about it. And so I think that, like, all of a sudden that's started, the truth is being revealed in that moment, right? That all of this death and suffering and stuff it's all pathetic. Who's your best performance?
I mean, it's hard. I'm not as enamored with Eastwood. So I think I enjoyed the complexity of Hackman.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought was like the clear runaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's having to be the arbiter, the judge, the jury of this town. And I think gave, a pretty fair portrayal of probably what it was like to be the sheriff in a town like this. When he's just really he's at the end of his time.
Yeah, for me, it was Hackman. I mean, there's really, everybody's kind of great in this. Richard Harris is great. Morgan Freeman is great. Hackman's great. Like, Francis Fisher's great. Like, everybody's doing a good job in this. I mean, Clint is Clint. Like, I mean, he is who he is. Like, he's I think he understood when he made this movie that he's basically, a walking stereotype at this point, and he plays into that, it feels like, in this movie. Like, this is I think in his mind the last Western. Like, this is the pathetic end of the Western genre, And, he plays the Western character that he's played for his entire life, and so I don't think he gave himself anything interesting to do, really. But everybody else comes off great, I thought. Yeah. Even Saul Rubinek comes off good. Yeah.
I thought we got to clean his pants. Poor Saul Rubinek.
I got some stats about the movie.
Ooh, stats.
Unforgiven came out on August 7th, 1992, the end of the summer. This day in 90210, we have arrived at season 3, episode 4, entitled Sex, Lies, and Volleyball.
I feel like we're at the beach club.
Brandon and Steve vie for a pretty volleyball player's attention. God, gross. And a photographer convinces Donna to take up modeling.
Oh, no. Don't do it. Don't do it, Donna.
How did teenagers survive in the early 90s?
Just pray from every angle. Just people out to get them.
Unforgiven had a domestic gross of $101 million, making it the number 11 grossing movie of 1992. That box office was bolstered by winning the Oscar for Best Picture. I can guarantee it.
Sure.
It is the number 782nd top grossing movie of all time. Between, all right, Betsy, you get Unforgiven. On one side, you get Noah, the what's his face, the
Russell Crowe version.
Yeah. But directed by Aronofsky, the Darren Aronofsky Noah.
Yes.
Which is actually not that bad.
No.
So you get Noah, you get Unforgiven, and then Betsy, a movie that we're definitely going to talk about on this here show when it comes around. You get Con Air.
Put the bunny back in the box.
I knew you was a punk, and I was right. You've been playing us all along. You a free man.
I said, put the bunny back in the box.
Oh, wow.
Con Air.
Wow.
Put the bunny back in the box. Con Air.
Wow.
Nick Cage hair flowing in the breeze.
This is quite the triple feature.
Nick Cage just trying to get home to the little girl.
John Cusack.
And John Malkovich is trying to mess everything up. And Nick Cage has to stop.
Steve Buscemi, he's in that too, right?
Ving Rhames trying to mess everything up. Come on, Nick Cage. Okay. Nick Cage and Bubba from Forrest Gump.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've got Unforgiven, Con Air, and Noah. I'm going to flirt with Con Air. I'm gonna kill Unforgiven. I'm gonna marry Noah.
Okay, we are totally opposite on this.
Oh my goodness, what are you doing?
Okay, I'm gonna flirt with Unforgiven because it's a great movie. I'm gonna marry Con Air because it's one of the best movies ever in the history.
I know.
In the history of movies.
They'd be fun to flirt with, though.
There was a moment when my first daughter was born that I was rocking her to sleep in the living room and watching Con Air on repeat over and over again because it was in heavy rotation on HBO. I love Con Air. Love is not even enough of a word for how I feel about Con Air. It's just the best. I'm gonna kill Noah because it's fine.
Sure, it's really good. I use it in class.
Con Air, Nick Cage's hands are lethal weapons, so he has to go to a maximum security prison for defending his wife. That is just genius writing. I don't know who wrote that. That is amazing.
You're right. It is
incredible. Put the bunny back in the box. Con Air. I love it. Can't wait to talk about it. Unforgiven has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, whoa. Wow.
People love this movie. People love this movie. What do you think Raj thought about it?
Oh, I bet he loved it.
This, Betsy, is a famous Roger and Ebert. This is a famous Siskel and Ebert split. Very famous Siskel and Ebert split.
Oh, I didn't know this. What's the divide?
So Roger is on the love it end.
He's a sap.
He says that implacable moral balance in which good eventually silences evil is at the heart of the Western, and Eastwood is not shy about saying so. 4 out of 4 stars. Now, let me just say, I think Roger fundamentally misunderstood this movie.
Yes, I do. I think he misunderstood this movie. Well, and if he said, and Eastwood wants to set that off balance from itself. Like, if Eastwood wants to turn that on its head.
Yes.
Then that is more of the correct assessment.
Siskel was very down on this movie. He was very down on this movie. Yeah.
In what way? What did he say?
Oh, I think he was upset by the violence. Siskel was always more upset by violence than Ebert was, right? So he was upset by the violence, upset by the sort of moral dubiousness of the movie,
right.
Stuff like that, where it's like the villains, are living in a gray area and the heroes are living in a gray area. He didn't like it. I have no Janet Maslin and no Rita Kempley review.
Wow.
No, they just bailed on this movie, I guess.
Wow.
Not interested.
Oscar winner, nothing.
So I have a review from Kathleen Carroll, who writes for the New York Daily News.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, what does Kathleen have to say?
Kathleen says, Unforgiven is a high caliber movie, a gripping and haunting work of art that should finally establish Eastwood as one of America's best directors. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I can't wait until we get to Braveheart, where she's like, Braveheart is a high caliber movie.
Oh.
Gripping and haunting work of art.
Gripping and haunting.
Gibson as one of America's best directors. How did Unforgiven do at the Oscars? Oh my God, Betsy. Okay. It won 1, 2, 3, 4 Oscars. It won 4 Oscars.
4 Oscars. Okay. So it won Best Oscar, but Best Picture. And Hackman won.
Yes.
Why can't I think of supporting?
So we've already established those two.
Okay. He didn't win Best Director, did he?
He sure did. Best Director.
All right. And then is it like sound editing or something because of all the shooting?
Close. Film editing.
Film editing. Okay. Because, typically when there's a lot of shooting.
But it was nominated for 9 Oscars. So there are 5 that it was nominated for that it did not win.
Cinematography.
I'll rattle them off for you here.
Okay, tell me.
Best Actor.
For Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird, right?
Okay.
Weird. Okay. So, Best Actor, Best Original Screenplay.
Okay.
Best Cinematography. That one's legit. Actually, a pretty gorgeous movie to look at.
It is.
Best Set Direction. And Best Sound. All those raindrops falling on Gene Hackman's leaky house.
You just shot an unarmed man.
Well, he should have armed himself. He's going to decorate his saloon with my friend.
You'd be William Money out of Missouri. Killer of women and children.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, Little Bill. For what you did to Ned.
We have arrived at what is the lasting legacy of this movie. Betsy, I've written down revenge pictures, although we could talk about Westerns, I guess, because this is kind of like I said, I think this is Clint Eastwood's attempt at making the last Western,
but that don't work.
It does not work. There are more Westerns.
So is this a genre that doesn't die?
It's a genre that doesn't die, but it does go through periods of being dormant,
Yes.
I think
What's been the most recent Western?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you categorize Yellowstone, right? But I would say that's sort of a modern day Western. Now that's a TV show.
Well, you, according to your lists, include that stuff all the time. So you're pretty flexible over there.
But I do think there is something about the concept of revenge, the revenge pictures and movies. We actually kind of hit on this a little bit when we talked about Tarantino. Tarantino has he's been playing around with this idea of the revenge picture for a long time now, going back to Inglourious Bastards and Django, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. This idea of Kill Bill is like the fantasy version of that. I'm thinking of how he plays with like getting revenge against history,
Right.
But I mean, this actually is a story that has a long history in Hollywood. Going back to some of the earliest movies, there was a movie called Der Golem, the Golem, right? From Germany in 1920. That was basically a Jewish revenge film. It was like, and this is before obviously the
Holocaust,
atrocities. But the story of the Golem is about, this creation that gets away from you. The vengeance of this creation gets away from you and causes havoc in the world, right? And that's one of the oldest movies that we have, and it's just something that kind of exists throughout history. We have revenge pictures now that we see all the time. I don't know, what's the attraction of the revenge picture?
Well, I mean, bring in your tale as old as time. God preferred Abel's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Cain was jealous, and I think, and that's the interesting thing about the Eastwood character, right? We don't know what his motivation was for the things that he did before,
right?
And we are always seeking justification because we Ned's dead, that's terrible, and and we can kind of get behind that because we like Ned,
right?
We know Ned. We don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's all about
women and children, and we don't understand any of that stuff.
It's all about kind of moving the moral goalposts a little bit, It's like because you're right. When this story starts, the way that the injuries are described to William, Money, and Ned is that her eyes are gouged out. She's lost an ear.
Her breasts have been cut off.
Breasts have been cut off. It's this horrible maiming, and that's actually how William Money gets Ned to come with him, is by describing the horrendous injuries that this woman has suffered, and that justice demands that her, the people that did this to her, are hunted down and killed, right?
And we get paid too.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, before they even kill one of the cowboys, they've met this woman. They know that the injuries are not what has been described to them, and yet they still go through with the bounty hunting. It's like,
and they also dangle in front of us William potentially riding off into the sunset with this injured woman.
Right. Yeah.
They have these lovely conversations several times. She's nursing him back to health. Why couldn't she go out and take care of those two children who were, out by their lonesome with the feverish pigs? That there was a happier ending that was teased.
Yeah, but he's the one that pushes away the happiness, right? Because he could easily say, like, well, I'm a widower.
My wife is dead, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But he lies to her so that he can push her away in that way. Yeah. Of course, like, all of the other women know that he's a liar. And but she's just naive, young and naive enough to actually believe him. Who is Unforgiven for, Betsy?
Old people.
Yeah. I said dads. That's funny.
Dads, dads and grandpa. I mean, how long had it been since he had made a Western?
Clint. So it would have been in the early '80s, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Because he probably tried to get away from it, I'm guessing.
So Outlaw Josie Wales was like 79. I'm guessing it was something like Pale Rider, which would have been like 83 or 84 probably. So it's been a while. But then again, it's like he's going to follow up Unforgiven with what? Like Bridges of Madison County or something? Which is like another...
Pale Rider's 85.
Oh, dang. Okay, so much later than I thought.
Much later than you thought. And he's going to follow it up with In the Line of Fire. I do like that.
Oh, In the Line of Fire. Malkovich again.
And then A Perfect World.
And then Bridges of Madison County.
And then Casper, uncredited.
What? No, get out of here.
And then the Bridges of
Casper.
Make you wait for it. You wait for it.
I just watched Bridges of Madison County for our theology and film class not too long ago.
Did you?
Like that movie.
Okay.
Meryl Streep is really good in that movie.
I know you're just holding that for Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys. That was the one where they dubbed their voices over the young actors, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's hilarious. What is your rating for Unforgiven out of 5?
My rating is a 3.
Wow, a 3. Hang on.
A 3.
Gotta go down your list here. Oh, above or below the player?
Above.
Above the player. We're divided on this one, Betsy.
I know.
Yeah, this is a masterpiece for me. 5 out of 5.
No.
Yeah, it's the best Clint Eastwood movie ever. Which, I mean, I get it. That's like saying it's the best Mel Gibson movie ever, but like it's a really good movie. Like I just think it's extremely effective. It plays around the margins of like beauty and horror. It's just great. I just think I think it's really good. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this movie can't be that good. And then I watch it, I'm like, it's pretty damn good. Like Richard Harris is really good. Gene Hackman's really good. Morgan Freeman's really good. The story's really good. I can't hate on it.
So glad. So glad you like it. I'm so glad you like it.
Why did the Academy nominate this movie? Why did the Academy love this movie so much? They loved this movie. Holy cow.
Because they're old.
I guess. They love their old Westerns.
They do. This was felt like a revival. And, it was probably a genre that they didn't recognize at the time. It's, it's a gimme. It's a gimme in a way.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a big gimme year.
Yeah.
To some extent.
This was a given that this was going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Like this was like, this was written.
Oh, you finally made a Western we can give this to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did Emily have to say about this movie?
Okay. So I texted her. She said she has never seen it.
Oh, wow. Emily.
But she said, I remember the olds were freaking out to see Eastwood in a Western again.
That sounds like something an old millennial would say. What do you think Billy Crystal said about this?
Oh man!
Monologue? He did a bunch of Clint Eastwood impressions.
As your host tonight, and for the past 3 years, just look out in this audience and see all of these great stars. This is what it's all about. It's Clint Eastwood. How are you? 9 nominations. Unforgiven. I'm a big fan. You know that. Clint, of course, played that ruthless character, and you know that he used those same tactics when he cleaned up that lawless renegade town of Carmel, California. When he was the mayor there was Dodge, Tombstone, and Carmel. It was Clint Eastwood who instituted the no creme brulee after 10 p.m. ordinance. It's true. Only Clint Eastwood could stare at local resident and burr under the saddle Doris Day, look her right in the eyes and say,
Curb those dogs.
I can tell
I
you.
bet he did.
Did.
And City Slickers, did that already come out?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well,
When
yeah,
was
they had,
that?
because
When was
this
that
was the year that
movie?
Marissa Tomei won Best Supporting Actress. And so it was
Cool.
Jack Palance that, okay, because we didn't talk about My Cousin Vinny, to your sister's deep,
I know.
like,
Deep.
regret.
So City Slickers was 91. So that was the
City
year
Slickers
before.
was the year before. So Jack Palance wins Best Supporting Actor for City
So
Slickers.
yes. So he would
So he
give
is
the
the
award to
presenter,
Marissa Tomei,
right,
right?
for Best Supporting Actress the next
Actress.
year. And,
Yes.
this is when, so what we've already talked about, Vanessa Redgrave was up. It was basically 4 British actresses and
Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. And the conspiracy, as it goes, is that Jack Palance saw who actually won the Oscar and decided to ad-lib that Marissa Tomei won the Oscar. Now, I think that's a bit mean. Marissa Tomei is a really good actress. She's great. But it still exists today, a conspiracy that this was Jack Palance going rogue. And
That's such BS. They would never allow that. We all saw the La La Land situation. No, it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So
no.
Yeah. Anyway. So this was that Oscars. So yeah, City Slickers would have already happened. It's a great conspiracy theory, though, as conspiracy theories go.
I don't give Jack Palance that much credit. No.
That's it. We've arrived at the end of the day.
We did it. One more year.
Unforgiven in the books.
Wow.
Next up, Betsy. It's our 5th annual Golden Poppers. We have made it to the end. It's time to nominate and celebrate the best of the year that was 1992. So next time you will hear us talk about the Golden Poppers. Should we invite Emily back on? She was a big hit.
Oh, listen, she's got a lot of opinions. I think we should. Let's bring her back.
We will maybe invite her back on, and maybe we'll reach out to a surprise guest or two. Maybe we'll reach back out to Anne Hornaday, see if she can join us for Golden Poppers. Yeah,
that'd be fun. Yeah, let's do it.
Betsy, thank you for stopping by my ranch today. Now, can we finally get these hogs into their correct spots? What do you think?
It's just reindeer, Greg. It's a little muddy. I don't know whether... Here, let me go find a 6-year-old girl to help me wrangle these hogs.
So all she's going to do is watch, because she's
not going to do anything. I do think the kid's older than 8. I'm going to give him at least 10, maybe 11. I think maybe he's slightly underfed. I think he's in double digits, but he's still not very helpful.
All right. We'll see what we do with these hogs on the hog farm later. Next time we'll see you for the Golden Poppers. Take care. See you next time.
Oink, oink. Bye.